All right, so today we're going to be talking and installing one of these Muller aluminum handle guards. Everybody just about has gotten to be familiar with these leather handle guards, and they are fantastic and great and kind of authentic, and love them. These are a cool thing. Check them out. We've got our own brand, and they're made here in the USA, and good, durable, full grain leather. So check those out. But what I want to go ahead and do, and just for the very few who haven't, basically, that's how they would fit on there, and then be laced up the back. Okay, that was quick and dirty for you. Now, what we've got here though is this aluminum, and aluminum has got a few neat features to it. It's very thin and tight fitting. So if you do have, on your beard or whatever, you don't want a lot of bulk, it's pretty thin. You can get in there, and as well as the aluminum, just it's a little bit different, looks kind of cool, and obviously very durable. What I want to go ahead and lead into here is not a lot of people are doing these aluminum guards, and so I'm going to do an install on one. I have done some of my own in the past, and they've come out pretty good. And you can kind of see how that has turned out. And I like that. These Muellers have got a little bit more character to them with the sides indented. That's what it looks like. You've got your 6 holes. And then this is how it looks on the hatchet. And you'll see me going ahead and putting this on this hatchet here in just a second. I will go ahead and point out that if you want it to fit exactly, you will grind just a little bit, sand, be prepared to sand just a little bit on your handle. I have both installed them where I have sanded to get a perfect fit, like on this one, tight all the way, tight even up in the head, all the way around, and that, if I'm doing one, I like that. If you're installing one, I have also installed them, obviously, where you don't. I don't notice a whole lot of difference on the usability. It's just everybody likes nice, clean lines, and so just keep that in mind. Okay, so let me go ahead and get to. But check out our website if you're looking for these. Not many people have these. Not many people are doing them themselves. Not many people are selling them. So check out our website, and we'll go ahead and get to the install. Okay, so what I'm going to go ahead and do, I'm going to go ahead and measure across the length of this because I want to find the center. It's just over 3. And if I know that that is 3 1/8, I'm going to go ahead and mark the center on my axe here as well, my hatchet, either one. Go ahead and hold that up there so that I know. Go ahead and sight down my blade the best I can, kind of determine my center there. I'll do the same under here because I want to make sure that I get this seated on there straight. Actually mark that on the head just a little bit. All right, now the main thing to worry about here is you want to get a tight seat right around here, around the edge. So I haven't found a super magical approach to this. I just lay it on there, line everything up, and you don't just want to push out here, and you don't just want to go and just push it. You want to kind of allow it to have just a second to form on there, and kind of push a little bit in if you can. Kind of double checking that. Also make sure, in fact I should probably go ahead and put the guard on this. I'm not going to because that'll give you more visibility, but you probably want to either tape this up or something while you're working on this. All right, so kind of working, and I'm making sure to kind of just put pressure and then hold off and then pressure, because that allows the aluminum just a little bit of time to kind of fit and form. And I also want to kind of make sure I'm getting a little bit of pressure all the way along to the center. So I'm kind of working this down. Now, I'll go ahead and show you here that I'm getting a little bit of gap there in the center, but that's because you got a little bit of a bulge right here. And on some of these that I've done in the past, when I've just made my own, you can see I've gotten fairly tight, but that's because I will sand off here just a little bit. I'm not going to do that on this one. You can get a feeling for it because you can sand just a little bit right there, and that allows this to sit real tight. Obviously, as you're bending, and make sure that if you take that off, that you get it back on there about the same distance that you're going. Now, what I like to do is I will take a vice grips and I can use it to kind of do the final bend. And I'm not always an exacting type of person, so sometimes I will just use vice grips on here. As you can see, that one that I installed back there, I didn't even use anything for cushioning. But if you want this to come out without any scratches, you need to use something on here if you use this technique. And a piece of leather, honestly, would be better, either a piece of leather or inner tube. I'm just going to use this piece of cardboard. And so just if you do not want scratches, keep that in mind, because this aluminum will scratch just a tad. And I want to make sure I can see basically my first nail holes here. I'm going to go ahead and do this, and I'm going to bring the vice grips in from the front side here. And I want to make sure as I am doing this that I'm keeping this held up. I'm keeping the guard held up against the blade as much as I possibly can. And I just kind of want to move that up. You can see on both sides. I'm just kind of moving it up closer and closer to the top. And yeah, so getting pretty close to where I want it there. And you can then come back from the back side with this if you want to, and but for the sake of this video I'm not going to, because I'm just going to get this close enough. So you pretty much have this locked on there. If you wanted to, you could lock this. Something I've done in the past is you can lock this down, and you can use a little bit of a rubber mallet to get you a little bit of a closer fit there. I usually find that doesn't get me a whole lot of room. So I'm not going to do a whole lot of that, just a tiny little bit. Okay, so that's mostly locked on there. So I'm going to go ahead and do is now take one of my nails and get one side started. So you can do this. Anvils are obviously very handy. If you've got one of those, this makes quick work of it. If not, just put on a sturdy bench or whatever, and that works pretty good. All right, so got my first nail in. Now what I want to go ahead and do is take my vice grips off and make sure that nothing is loosened up, because a lot of times you can end up getting just a little bit of looseness here. And you can even take up, like I was saying, take up some of any slack that you get in there. You can take up at this point. And it's especially, like I said, if you don't mind if your aluminum gets a little bit of scuffing on it, you're really able to take up almost all of that at this time. So let me go ahead, because these vice grips will kind of grip on that aluminum a little bit. I'm gonna hold this. Alrighty. So I think that's about as good as I'm gonna get on this one. I'm gonna go ahead and hold it off the side again. Get my nail started. All right. So you can see we're getting on there pretty good. I want to kind of go ahead and see. Should have used something a little bit thicker than that, and I knew that. All right. Let's go ahead and put this one closer to the bottom here. Go ahead and tap it just a tad, make sure that I'm seating it in there. A lot of times you will end up with just a tiny bit of gap here, but the main thing that I want to do is get a tight fit to the head, because that allows me just a good seat. I'd rather a tight fit up here and a little bit of loose back here than to have it loose everywhere. Once again, keep your finger up here to keep as much tightness as you can, and just slowly use that vice grips there to lock it in. All right, so a little bit harder to hold here. Some people will lock these in a vise, and that can be helpful. I tend to just like to do things freehand as much as I can. All right, so we get that one pretty tight. I feel like I didn't get much movement. Actually, I did get a little bit of movement. Didn't feel any, but I did. I'm gonna go ahead and just back around. Need to tighten my grips up a little. All right. So, go for my last nail here. All right, so looking pretty good. I can come back and tighten a couple of these up if I want to. You can see because it's hitting right in here, I've got a little bit of a gap here and down here, but amazingly that is pretty tight. And on the ones that I have used in the past, that I've just used a piece of aluminum, I used 035, but when you sand just a little bit, you can really get it to fit nice and smooth. So definitely might be. I've also done ones that were not, and those nails, really, you'd be amazed at how much they tighten it on there, and you don't really get a whole lot of movement back and forth. The main thing that you can possibly get is just the aluminum. If you do get a really hard whack on something, it can deform a little bit, but it's still protecting your handle. And in fact, that's pretty rare from what I've noticed. So there you've got it, a Muller aluminum handle guard. And they're actually pretty attractive. They're pretty durable, and they really keep any of your handle mishaps at bay. And even for doing that bushcrafting, you can see It's thin enough that you don't really hardly notice any hindrance from that. Obviously, if you were going to be working with this all day, you might develop a little bit of blisters, you know, on there with that. But for just the bush crafting, and then you mostly want to just keep that as a color guard out here, highly recommend them. Check them out. We've got them on our website. And check out this right here. I'm putting this actually on a Prandy 600 gram mirror finish hatchet. Prandys are great hatchets. If you haven't checked them out, check those out. Good price, and the Italians really got something going on good there. I've put this one that I've had on here for a little while. This is actually a Prandy 800 gram. So that is, and of course it's not the mirror finish, and it performs really well also. So make sure to check out our other videos, subscribe, ring the bell, leave comments. There's not a lot of people doing these, so any feedback from people out there that have been experimenting with those, kind of like I have, make sure check us out. I'll see you in the next video. Bye now.